Are you seeking a better way to accelerate your sales, to scale your business, to live a life with no limits? Accelerate Sales Podcast features global experts who have cracked the code to recurring revenues with proven sales systems and get you on the fast track to scaling. Now let's accelerate your sales with today's episode.
Hi, I'm Paul Higgins and welcome to the Accelerate Sales Podcast. You're going to learn lots today because the guest is brilliant. But three things in particular is the move from IT services, managed services, to more of a consulting business. So how he's done that and the way that he's implemented it. The second is the value of niching down. And there's a great example here. And the last one is how EOS can help you get unstuck. So get you to work on the business, not in the business. If you're a first-time listener and you love what you hear, please subscribe. It's for cloud consultants. It's where you consult and deploy SaaS platforms. Doesn't matter what platform. And if you're a regular, I'd love to hear from you. So just email me at paul@paulhigginsmentoring.com. I'm sure to reply to every one of the emails. And there's a summary in the app. You can also get the full transcript at paulhigginsmentoring.com/podcast. And before we go in the interview with Daniel, I'd like to thank our key sponsors. First is the Cloud Consultants Collective. It's a free Slack community for like-minded peers helping each other. And you can find out more at the cloudconsultantscollective.com. And there's Send Spark. So if you really want to get the connection, yes, you can meet someone in person, which is the best, but the next best is to send them a video, right? And you can do that. You can personalize them. It's a great platform. You can go to paulhigginsmentoring.com/send spark to get that. So our today's guest is Daniel Moshe. He's the founder and CEO of Tech Guru IT, which is a business for accounting firms. And he combines his passion for business technology with finance and accounting to help modernize accounting firms and strengthen the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And the correct URL, because I used the wrong one in the podcast, which is my mistake, is techguruit.com. That will be in the show notes. And he's also the founder of another business. These are two of his 5 businesses. This one's called Lucid Day, and it's a Monday.com partner. And he's helping empower effective teams to do more with Monday. And he's also a certified EOS entrepreneurial operating system implementer as well. He works with leadership teams to implement simple, practical tools to help them get what they want out of their businesses. In addition, he regularly speaks and talks at peak conferences for industry bodies and also runs some workshops. Daniel lives in Minneapolis, and he has 2 sons and is an avid motorcyclist and pilot. So what I'll do now is hand you over to Daniel Moshe from techguruit.com. Fantastic to have you here, Daniel.
Oh, it's always my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, I'm very excited today because you do run lots of businesses. And I know we'll focus on a couple in particular today, but well done for the eclectic mix of businesses that you've got. It's fantastic. But why don't we first target on tech gurus, and what or who's your ideal client? If you go to your website and your LinkedIn profile, if you go there now to Daniel's, will definitely quickly understand because he positions himself beautifully. But yeah, who's the ideal client and what sort of problems do you help them solve?
Yeah, thanks so much. I love that question. And it's been an evolving journey over the 18 years since I started Tech Guru. So we've already broken all the odds in terms of companies' longevity. That said, today, which is not what I originally founded the company to be doing, it's all about IT for accounting firms, between 5 and about 50 employees. So it's interesting, though, that IT has changed so much over the years, where it used to be like plugging in servers and connecting computers and wireless networks. And certainly there is like some of that. But now it's more like, okay, which cloud platform are we going to help you connect to and integrate, secure, backup, and then teach your people how to use? More than it is, than that kind of infrastructure from the old days.
Yeah,
so, that's our target market.
Great. And what are some of the problems that you help them solve?
Yeah, good question. So what we're helping our clients solve is really kind of three main hot button, which is helping them really understand which pieces of technology they should implement into their firms to help them get where they want to go. So kind of a strategic aspect to it, very much consultative. Second piece of it is actually implementing, migrating, converting, and connecting those platforms. And then the last piece of it is keeping it all secure and supported. And so we believe that technology is only as good as secure as it is secure, and technology is only as good as people actually know how to use it. So we provide all the support, frontline support. We call one number to call if you have any kind of tech support questions for anything with buttons and lights. That's what we like to say. And so again, now more and more of this encompasses software as well as any kind of gear related questions. And more we support people's home office networks and personal network, personal mobile devices and things like that. It's a little bit muddying the waters between home use, small business, and office settings, and we support it and embrace it all.
Yeah, brilliant. And like you said, 18 years, you've no doubt had lots of different verticals or different focuses. When did you become specific to accounting firms?
Yeah, it's about last 5 years. Of course, I started the company happy to do technology work for anybody at any time, anywhere. Years, it became clear that by being such a broad focus, we really couldn't be great at anything. And so I said, you know what? I want to just be really, really good at what we do. And the moment of truth was when I sat with my leadership team and I said, what would we do to put ourselves out of business? Or how could we be put out of business in a year from now? And the answer to that question was, well, if every one of our clients was contacted by an IT specialist for their industry, a business in a year. And it already had been starting to happen where it was the orthodontist and found an IT specialist and orthodontist. And it was the law firm that went away because they had an IT specialist. And we just can't compete because we don't know their business as well as they do. And so we made the first decision to foray into IT for dental. Yes. And then it was very interesting. We learned a lot, and we learned that IT for dental was not our thing. And it just turns out it wasn't a good fit. And then we said, why was that? We found that dentists, as long as they can still kind of like do billable services, which are, conducting procedures, their IT takes a second seat, right? And so generally speaking, they're running electronic medical records and they're running electronic scheduling, but their work is actually in people's mouths using pretty much like drills and for those dentists in the audience, I know I'm not doing the work you do justice, and I'm very grateful for everything that you've done collectively for me and over the years. But generally speaking, you can still do your thing as a dentist without having your technology be functional. Okay. Yeah. So they just didn't value technology the way that we wanted. So our second choice was accountants. And so we said, okay, well, what's the industry where their second costs on average only to payroll is IT expenditure? Can you believe that? It's because they have to invest in these softwares and tax things. They have to get updates every year. It's incredible. And then the human capital is so important. And in their case, Paul, can you imagine if your accountant's technology goes down, there's
business
out of luck.
Yeah,
business stops. Anyway, so for all those reasons, we decided to specialize in the IT for accounting space. And now more and more clients that we bring on, they're 100% already in the cloud. If they're not, they want to be. And we find ourselves being cloud consultants, just like all the rest of us.
Yeah, I think that's really well explained, and I love that the percentage of cost, because that's what I often with my clients look at that, right? And I'm also looking at, well, who else is in that top list, so that you can then go and find strategic partners, right? Who are the people they have to use? So often that's like, HR I think is a great one, or people services, right? Because like you said, the number one cost is the team. So who's helping support their team, and then they know the client well, which i.e. you can get introduced to. So I think that's really smart. And the other thing is that, it's an industry that's, going to stay the test of time, right? We're always going to need accountants. So Yeah, I think that's really smart. And the other thing is just this whole thing of niche and niche depends where you are in the world listening. It is, you know, I love the thing where you're just too broad and the fact that you can be eaten away, like you said. But
Mm-hmm.
if it's like me, like there's lots of consultants in the world, right? And it was the same. I used to just be like one of many, whereas the community that we run here and the podcasts I've got, I haven't found anyone else that's doing what I'm doing, right? So then all of a sudden, and I've been doing this for like 8 months, you get a name fairly quickly and people start coming to you. So I think that's really smart. So you're picking these clients, but as you said, you sort of evolve from providing all the hardware, et cetera, to more the consulting. How have you had to change, the way that you go to market and also potentially the people, in the business to adapt to more of a consulting versus, an MSP or an IT provider?
Yeah, thank you. And we certainly still do all the hardware stuff as well. So we still play that role. I just want to put some context out there for you, Paul. It's like we started with 2 accounting firm clients. Literally, we had 2 at the time, and all the rest of our clients were non-accounting firms. So it was really a significant shift in both the go-to-market and with the way that we've been structuring our team. And Paul, to be honest, we're still figuring it out. We haven't totally cracked the code, but I am excited to say we just hit 80 accounting firm clients now.
Right.
And it overtook by so much our we call it legacy business, but all the non-accounting firm clients. Actually, I had a business partner, and I bought him out, and he took all those legacy clients, and now TechGuru is 100% laser focused on just accounting firms, because we found, Paul, to your point about go to market and team structure, that it was 2 different businesses.
Yeah.
It was providing IT support for companies that you could generally drive to, and they wanted and had very different expectations. And the go-to-market was totally different. Although frankly, we never really cracked the code on the go-to-market for the generalist IT business, because no matter what we did, it just seemed like kind of throwing things at the wall. We always got clients through referrals and word of mouth, but we never could grow with intention. It was always just accidental, take it when you can get it kind of growth.
Yes.
Right. And that's what I've always wanted. In all the years I had a business, I said, I want a business where we can have repeatable, predictable growth. And so that's why I took ownership of marketing. I took ownership of our go-to-market. And I talked to those 2 accounting firm clients we had, and actually I went and I talked to about a dozen other accounting professionals that I had in my life or were indirectly connected to me, and I got introductions. And I had 10 questions. And one of them was, where do you go? Where do you go to learn about new technology and new vendors? And Paul, the crazy was they go, are you sitting down for this? They go to conferences, in-person, physical conferences where they can meet and have FaceTime and shake hands. And so, you know what, Paul, because even though that would have been the last thing ever I would have said, is that we're going to have a conference strategy. We have a conference strategy. And we're at a dozen conferences this year all over the US. We're figuring out how to do. We're trying to get as efficient as possible. We're going to be at QuickBooks Connect in the next couple of weeks. We're at a handful of conferences. This is conference season right now, and it's all going to kind of wrap up in January. So that's been a big, important go-to-market, and it's been also peer networking or peer organizations of accounting firms.
Yes.
So connecting with peer organizations where they are, either doing peer coaching or they're doing, what do you call it? Like mastermind, things like that, where those organizations will allow us to come in and be a sponsor and be a thought leader and contribute to those conversations. That has been the other big strategic go-to-market for us. And then everything else from there is just kind of more solid inbound marketing. But nothing has provided more return than those 2 first pieces I'd mentioned.
Yeah, I think that's so clever. Like, take the time, listen to Daniel, but take the time to go and research, right? Go and research and find out. Like, it's great to have an ideal client, and you can go to paulhigginsmentoring.com/ICP to get the template that I've got. But, really finding out where they go is so important. And, a lot of my clients, we still do outbound on LinkedIn, right? But it's less about finding the one-to-one relationships. It's about more finding the actual one-to-many, which is
That's
what
right.
you're talking about, right?
Big
And I
time.
think that is so important. And the other thing is, you know, as Daniel's built his team, he's now at the front of the business, right? I think what often happens is, it's the hard thing is to get out of delivery, right? And you're stuck in delivery. And then it's like, well, I don't have the time to be on podcasts. So I don't have the time to be,
Yes.
make sure that you're building that team to get out. And about that team for you, like, I think you've said you've got around 15 people in the Tech
Yes.
Guru business now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how involved are you in the day-to-day and delivery?
Yeah, thanks. Great question. I am not involved
Right.
day to day in that
Yeah.
business.
Which I assumed the case, but
Yeah,
I was waiting a little, hoping that I'd gotten the right angle on it.
yeah. I'm not. I haven't been very hands on, in some time. Probably maybe the last eight or so years. Other than just high level, big picture, strategic things, big relationships. In EOS terminology, if anybody's familiar with that, entrepreneurial operating system or traction. I don't know if you, Paul, if you talk a lot in your group in this conversation, but I'm the visionary. So visionary, kind of big picture, big ideas, big strategy, remove major roadblocks and barriers from the organization. But in thought leadership, I do some speaking. I just spoke at Minnesota's CPA conference last week. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, though, I've systematically built systems and replaced myself in the business over and over and over processes, which many entrepreneurs like. You say that word process, and then they're just like brain like melts, and they're and it can be a kind of a daunting thing for those of us who like to fly by the seat of our pants and shoot from our hip, so to speak.
Yes.
But I got to tell you, it's been what set me free, and creating, kind of documenting and simplifying. It's so easy to build these complex things that only I could actually execute on. Right. So building and finds processes, then with that clarity, finding the right and best person to replace myself in that role. I have replaced myself in every single role in the company. Because initially I started the company, it was just me. I was driving around in my 1990 Honda Accord all over Minnesota and Wisconsin, like fixing people's computers. And I was doing the books, and I was doing the sales, and I was doing the marketing, and I was doing the invoicing. I did everything, and customer service and scheduling. And so again, systematically, year over year, and elevated, another kind of EOS terminology or methodology, to do the things that I'm really the best at. What I found that is my calling and purpose is coaching leaders to thrive and become their best. And so now I get to spend most of my time doing that, and I'd find that deeply fulfilling and meaningful.
Yeah, brilliant. And look, we had Eric on episode 337, and he talked the titles. If you want to search it, as Kiss a Frog in Sales, because he sort of spoke about identifying the right clients, which is, when you pick a specific niche or niche, it's a lot easier, right? Because it's a lot easier to qualify. So I think you've done that really well. But he talks a bit about EOS, but just bring out a couple of key things that, you've got 5 businesses, and we're going to talk about the Monday practice in a moment. Have you got a similar suite sorry, how does EOS help you run first Tech Gurus better? And then we can talk about how that leads to your other businesses.
Yeah. Well, EOS was a complete game changer. I think I would have burnt out, given up a long time ago if it wasn't for having learned about it. And when I did learn about it, we implemented it in the company right away. And it helped us accomplish really 3 things. One, get everybody on the same page in terms of vision, where we headed, getting everybody crystal clear on what needs to be done quarter in and quarter out that are going to make progress towards that vision, and getting everybody to work together in a healthy way. The cool thing about EOS is just a set of simple, practical tools. It's not rocket science. It's nothing. There's no theory. It's just really, really basic things that have been around for hundreds of years, will be around for decades more. And it's just incredibly simple, but then magical with the results that you can get. And so EOS has helped us do a couple of things. One, structure the company to win, right? Design the team and put everybody in the right seat so that we're set up for success, right? We are designing the game. So we might as well design it so we can win. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
And then get everybody excited about where we're headed and what their role is, making it become a reality. And then I don't have, there's no micromanagement. There's no micromanagement. And the team is completely bought in and on board. And we meet every week. We have the best meetings. We have these world-class level 10 meetings that are part of EOS, where everybody's on the same page. We're transparent. We're holding each other accountable. And so, yes, I weave that into everything I do. Again, like I mentioned, I worked myself out of a day-to-day job in the business. And then I loved it so much, I took the leap and became an EOS implementer and have worked with dozens upon dozens of companies over the past 8 years. And I'm working with I think I'm working with 19 companies currently, 19 leadership teams to help them become their best and get what they want from their businesses as well.
And what sort of size are those companies?
Yeah, companies who are most benefit from EOS are from 10 to 250 employees, more or less. We have teams that are closer to 5 and larger than that, but less than 10, and it's hard to delegate and elevate because there's nobody to delegate and elevate to.
Yeah.
You can still use some of the principles and get a ton of traction, and it'll help you grow. But anywhere from 10 plus with the key thing is an entrepreneurial spirit, willing to challenge the status quo and embrace change and want to become great, right? And those are the main kind of success criteria for EOS.
And, I know average is difficult, but how long does it normally take to implement EOS?
Oh, 2-year journey. 2-year journey. The cool thing is, from starting with a new client to being done, my job is to work myself out of a job within 2 years and get them so they don't need me anymore. That's actually that is what is one of the coolest things, and almost like probably antithetic to like the typical kind of consulting engagement, where I'm not actually trying in that case to work myself deeper into somebody's business. I'm going to teach them up and running. It takes a 2-year mental commitment, and then I set them up for success.
Yeah, great. And look, I the work that I do is, normally 12 months, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. Just, set up the strategy, it's the old, teach them to fish versus fish, right? So I think that's really smart. So now you're listening to Daniel Moshe, and he's from multiple companies, but the key one we're talking about today is techguru.it. And he also has that EOS implementation business. So if that's something you're struggling with, reach out to Daniel. We'll have all the links in the show notes for that. So let's talk about the Monday practice, right? So, you're a busy person, you got 4 businesses, everything's going well. Why Monday? Where did that one pop up from?
All right. So it's about 2 years ago. It's November 2020. And, there's not a whole lot going on. Everything is shut down. And then I get this emails from Monday.com, the recruiting partners. And I said, no, I'm not interested unless I'm only interested in working with accounting firms. And so they were like, okay, yeah, sure. We can do that. We'll send you some accounting firms. So I sign up, I go through the training, and then I play with the product. And I'm like, wait a second, I just rebuilt entire workflow for my EOS practice, which had previously been very clunky, manual, and wasn't working, and it was expensive. And I just built this in about a half an hour, and it works better than it ever did before. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is interesting. So we sign up. I'm going through all the certification and training, and they start sending us leads to people who need professional services, but they send me exactly like one accounting firm and like non-accounting firm clients. So I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, number one, there's definitely a need for this in the marketplace because they have a lot of people who need some professional services help, consulting. And 2, this is not accounting firms, so this does not belong at Tech Guru.
Yes.
At the time, I had a business partner too, and I just didn't want to muddy the water. So I started a new separate entity. And then this is the best thing ever. I'm getting a branding and a website done, and it happens to be that the person who managing the website for development of the website loves Monday, and it was looking for new opportunities. The owner of that business is like, hey, you can hire this person if you want to hire them. I said, okay, I guess this is amazing. And it was amazing. So she joined our team as our integrator. That's Julie, and has been with the company ever since. And so she really like I did consulting with maybe 2 or 3 clients. And then everything ever since then, she's kind of taken over and taken charge of, and the team has grown and we've developed. And so anyway, that's kind of how that story began. It was definitely like I kind of tripped over. Oh, but the other thing, Paul, I really wanted this type of a business. I had been looking for it.
Yes.
I had tried one a few years ago around a CRM platform. It didn't go anywhere because they just didn't have what was necessary to build out their partner ecosystem.
Yes.
But it really was obvious to me that Monday really was committed to develop a program and invest in us. And they connected us. We have an amazing partner relation manager who's opened so many doors for us that makes such a difference. Anyway, so by all means, it's been a really exciting ride, and we are continue to be just learning and growing and making and changing lives every day with the work that we're doing. And it feels so positive and to me for the things that we're doing. But yeah, I'm also pretty hands off in that business too, actually.
Yeah. That's great. Well, we sort of, unfortunately, have you ever heard of Podio? Podio.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. So we were Podio, right? And we drank the Kool-Aid, and it, to me, it's, Monday's a much better version of what Podio ended up being, right? But Monday wasn't around when we were there. And I won't mention, well, I'll mention it's public. Citrix bought Podio, and we had a lovely team over in the Philippines. Everything was going great. And I went to the first partner meeting, Citrix, and I was pretty bummed because my family's in Lake Como in Italy, having a great time sitting in the sun, and I'm getting up at 4 a.m. to fly to this partner meeting in Copenhagen. So anyway, long story short, they presented. Now, I spent 18 years at Coca-Cola, and I was a director, so I sort of know what it's like to be a franchisee relationship, right? Which effectively SaaS is no different to Coke. It's just much better for the world, right? And I called my partner up straight away, my business partner, and said, "We're out of here." He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Citrix will just destroy this business." I used to joke at Coke, we'd say we turn small businesses into smaller businesses, and this is exactly. And I know I've still got some Podio people that listen to this, so but there was the right decision to make to get out of the platform. But I believe Monday, they're doing a great job. We've got some Monday partners in the community, and it's timing, right? If it had been Monday, not Podio, the world might have been different. But anyway, we won't lament on that. But I think having the right partner and picking the like you've talked really well from a strategic point of view today of who's the second biggest cost base, and that's how you define if it's IT or cloud services. Well, then that makes sense because they really need you, and they also in an industry that's going to stay. So that was good. But I also think it's around picking your partners is really, really important. And we had some not so good experiences, and then we ended up picking some great partners, ended up selling the business, which was fantastic. But I think that's really important to do it. But Daniel, you've shared so much value. What we're going to do now is go into rapid fire questions. So I always call it the sip of beer. Unfortunately, Australians drink too much beer. I don't personally, especially after a kidney transplant. But we'll just get a sip of beer from you. So so the first one is what are some of the daily sales habits that you do to help to accelerate your sales?
Yeah, I coach our salespeople at this time. I was temporarily in the integrator seat while our integrator was on parental leave, and so I think the same thing is make progress every single day, and pick up the phone. So that's two things I've reached out and has been coaching my salespeople on lately. Is like, hey, when you're not making progress on email, remember deals don't close via email. Yes. People buy from people. Yes. Pick up the phone. And so what do you know? He closed one last week that otherwise had been stuck. And he's got two just about to cross the finish line today. So people buy from people, pick up the phone.
Yeah, brilliant. Next is, sales. So it might be for your team, et cetera. And it would have been for yourself when you're in that role. Where do you go to look for more information about sales and how to improve sales?
Yeah, I am always looking for what's trending in terms of how people want to connect and communicate with us. And so we've been playing with like text messaging and things like that. And I got to tell you, that has actually been really, really helpful. So in terms of like me looking for or researching, it's your podcasts, yours included, for what's working and just getting motivated. And then also looking for online courses as well, where there's some great content for people who have a proven track record of success. So those are kind of two resources I've been accessing.
Brian, if we could give you one wish, let's say for techguru.it at this stage, one of your five, what would that be?
I want to continue creating a place for technology people who want to thrive and grow and make a huge positive impact in the world. And I want to, our wish is to make a difference in the lives of 1,000 accounting firms. So we know that every time that we work with an accounting professional at an accounting firm, there's a trickle effect because their businesses, it's having a positive impact. They're helping them improve their financial situation. So for all those reasons, creating a great place for technology professionals and making the world a better place, the impact that we want to have is working with 1,000, and that's our core target, from an EOS terminology. So our biggest wish is working with 1,000 firms. So we have 80 to go. Or sorry, we had 80, only 920 to go. So we're well on our way.
Yeah, great. And we won't do the calculation of how many years that's going to take, because I know you will rapidly increase it'll be the J curve.
That's right.
Last one is, what do you know now? You've been 18 years at it. What do you know now that you wish you had have learned earlier?
I wish I would have slowed down a little and surrendered to the flow of life a little more. Sometimes I find myself just pushing and pulling and striving too much. Like too much of striving can be a bad thing, I think. Yeah. And I found myself creating a lot of stress in my life that didn't need to be there, because the pieces tend to just fall into place when the right people are around and the vision has been shared. And so learning more to surrender to the flow of life a little bit and allow things to happen and realize that control is an illusion. I would have wished I would have learned that a little bit younger, at a little bit of younger age. And frankly, I still have to remind myself about that occasionally. I find myself pushing and striving. I still have goals. I still have things I want to do. I still think there's things we want to accomplish, just like I share with you, 1,000 accounting firms. But sometimes the timing is a little bit out of my control. So all I can do is set the stage and create the environment and respond to what's happening in the marketplace and be a great coach, advisor, and mentor to my team members, and then let things kind of happen how they will.
Yeah, great. And that sounds to me, and it's not always the case, but it sounds like a parent. Often enough, certainly for me, is when I have children, I realize that control was not going to work anymore.
Same here.
Look, it's been brilliant having you on. Like I said, you've got 5 businesses. Your LinkedIn profile spells them out beautifully. But for the Tech Guru one at techguru.it, and reach out to Daniel, I should say. Reach out for Daniel around EOS as well, because if you're getting to that point where you are stuck in delivery, you want to get away from that. EOS is fantastic, and the great thing is Daniel's been in your shoes, right? So I think that makes sense as well. But brilliant having you on today, Daniel.
Thank you for doing this for the community. Really appreciate it.
What a great interview with Daniel. I said it was going to be good, and it certainly was. And I love that thing where he talked about the second highest cost of IT, and also looking at where, how could your business be pulled apart or destroyed in 12 months? And I think a lot of us hope that doesn't happen, but why not get on the front foot? And Daniel was a brilliant example of that by niching down into accounting firms in particular. And why not share what you've learned with Daniel on LinkedIn? He's on there, and the URL will be in the show notes, and you can get all the summary in an app. The app that you're listening to, but you can get the full transcript at paulhigginsmentoring.com/podcast. It's episode 451. And if why don't share it with others? right? So might be one, might be 10 people, but Daniel gave so much value here. Other cloud consultants peers, why don't you send it to them? They'll think you're a rock star for it. Don't forget to check out the solo shows. Also, if you're scaling a cloud consultant business and you really want to know, am I doing it right? Like, have I got all the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle? Have I got all the right pieces and I've got them in order? Just go and get the blueprint that I've developed. It's at paulhigginsmentoring.com/blueprint, and it's completely free and you can get it right now. And as always, please take action to accelerate your sales.
I'm fired up after today's episode. What about you? But hey, before you go, learning is just one piece of the puzzle. Now it's time to put today's strategy into action. Head over now to today's show page at paulhigginsmentoring.com/podcast and share how you'll put it into action. Be sure to head over to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe, rate, and review the show. Tell me what your favorite episode is. And don't wait 1 minute more to gain access to your pulse check at paulhigginsmentoring.com. This could be the difference between struggling to get more leads and making this next quarter your best one yet.